What's going on, beautiful people? It is I, your flying locomotive and faster than a speeding bullet SuperCliff, coming at you live with a brand new video. So I want to talk about the recent news involving everyone's favorite smooth-talking smuggler, LandoCalrissian. I can never say his last name, by the way, so deal with it. Now, back in the day, aka 2020, you know, the greatest year ever, it was announced by KathleenKennedy that a Star Wars series focusing on the character of Lando was being made for Disney+, and that the series would focus on a young version of Lando played by DonaldGlover, who initially played him in the Solo movie from 2018. Now, real quick, when it comes to the movie Solo, the movie in general is considered okay. Not a lot of people saw it in theaters, and so it is considered a flop. Personally, I think that's because the movie came out 6 months right after The Last Jedi's release, and whether you like or dislike Episode 8, that movie 100% divided the audience. And honestly, it played out very similar to what happened after Game of Thrones Season 8. There was literally no hype following the finale. The same was said for Star Wars at that time. You know, people just weren't excited anymore. One thing most people will tend to agree on when it comes to Solo is that unlike Alden Eldrick's take on the young Han Solo, Donald Glover's performance as a young Lando slapped. A lot of folks really dug it. So yeah, it makes sense to bring back Donald Glover as a young Lando and have the show made for him. However, if there's one thing that's consistent about Lucasfilm, at least under the reigns of KathleenKennedy, is the consistent of inconsistency. See what I did there? Let's just say that more things have been announced for Star Wars than released, which is not good. It's to the point now whenever news of a new Star Wars movie or show gets announced, no one takes it seriously. And so for a while, people felt like the Lando show was going to be a casualty because of that. However, recently it was reported back in July that Donald Glover and his brother Steven would write and serve as the showrunners for the series, along with, of course, Donald, still reprising the role of Lando. But wait, there's more. Because last week, it was revealed that the Lando show would now become a movie, quite possibly the first Star Wars movie to hit the theaters since the majestic film known as Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. By the way, the majestic part was definitely sarcasm. That movie sucks. Okay, so what do I think about this? Well, first, let's talk about KathleenKennedy, and I don't want to come off like an angry YouTuber who hates her because woman bad. That's not me. I try to be fair with all my takes. So I think it is fair to say that KathleenKennedy hasn't really been on the mark during her tenure as, at running Lucasfilm. With movies getting announced left and right, movies or said projects not happening, her saying not even a year ago that the way they'll release movies will feel like an event, sort of like how James Bond does it every 3 or 4 years, and that your first movie will be the Rey film, and then you'll have the Filoni movie, like the Thrawn stuff, and after that, the James Mangold movie, and all three, mind you, take place at different eras of the Star Wars timeline. But wait, we'll also include a Lando movie as well. And what's that? Oh yeah, the Taika Waititi movie. Even though no one wants that. And Rogue Squadron movie, yeah, it's happening still. Maybe. So the thing is, no one knows what's happening. And it just feels like from the live action department of Star Wars, no one knows who's doing what or is doing what when. And we're at a point now where if someone announces a new film, no one takes the news seriously because it's happened so many times. It's like to the point now where it's like the boy who cried wolf. From viewing the brand of Star Wars on that basis, it doesn't look good. And because of what happened with the sequel trilogy, not a lot of folks are into the franchise now, or at least excited about the future of Star Wars. Since The Last Jedi, general audiences have sort of moved on. It's a very divided film. And yes, you can like that film, and I'm happy for you, but you have to admit, the movie did divide general audiences, not just Star Wars fans. And though, The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker did make over $1 billion, every movie following Episode 7's release made less and less. And not to mention that the story and quality of those movies have divided fans into little fiefdoms to the point where you have the Filoniverse and the Mandoverse and the Rey section. It's all it's stupid. And none of that was prior. None of that was there prior to Episode 7. Yes, a majority of people would say that the original movies are better than the prequels, but overall Star Wars was still very successful. Folks were still into the universe. So basically what I'm trying to say is that Lucasfilm, with their new initiative, them turning the page and moving past the sequel trilogy era, they can't be like the DCU and release a not A-tier superhero movie. They need to come out with a bang. And personally, call me crazy, but just judging how Solo did, and with this version of Lando being essentially a spinoff from a spinoff, and Donald Glover, he's no longer in his mid-30s. The dude is in his 40s. And if this is the first movie to come out, right out of the floodgates, I don't see how this does well. I love Lando. He's a great character. I appreciate Donald Glover's performance. I will always see Billy D. Williams as that character. But, Donald Glover did a good job with what he was given. And I also appreciate the fact that they want to make a Lando movie as opposed to a show. There's a lot of things wrong with the Obi-Wan show, but you can very much see the signs that Obi-Wan was meant to be a 2-hour movie, not a 6-hour miniseries. A lot of empty space in that show. Making a 2-hour movie will more likely than not cut the fat from the wasted screen time. But again, the question remains, do we need a Lando movie? Should that be something Lucasfilm makes a priority? I say no. Me personally, I believe Lucasfilm should make an Old Republic movie trilogy. Have it be thousands of years prior to the Skywalkers. You got to separate yourself from the Skywalker saga because you're not doing it well. Everything else you've done that's not Skywalker related, like Mandalorian and even Ahsoka now, what happened Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor of Cal Kestis, all that stuff is really good. The Bad Batch, it's super underrated. So focus less on the Skywalker stuff and more on these other characters or just different eras. Lucasfilm needs to move on and focus on new stuff. Allow yourselves to have the creative freedom to generate new stories and by expanding the universe. So yeah, as always, I'm your majestic sayer of words, SuperCliff, and if you guys are new to the channel, then do me a solid by smashing that like and subscribe button, and also the notification bell so you'll never miss out on an upload, and so you'll always be kept up to date with your favorite top tier comics happening in the comic book world and or the Star Wars world. Galaxy, you get it. Now tell me, what are your thoughts and opinions about the Lando movie?